Hi guys, I hope you would be able to see my presentation soon. I'm Sasha Pitkevich. I'm leading blockchain professionals community, and for last 10 years I've been leading blockchain practices at big enterprise system integrators. But what I'm going to speak today is about the evolution of the project management. Basically, we all witnessed for last 5 years the situation where, there are a lot of questions where the blockchain technology is applicable. And we all know that the blockchain technology is applicable the best and brings the best value where that's the business between legal entities, where we are either combining in a one solution several legal entities, either we are combining in one solution individuals, where that's a public solution. In both cases, that's the business in between businesses. And current economical and political situation requires us to develop such solutions on a distributed way. When that's the public solution which needs to be developed, that's normally developed by the community. And we have a need to evolve this solution by the community. And even when you start as a small group or as a startup trying to scale this solution, you need a community to help you. And when we are speaking about enterprise solutions, we normally have several, probably competing organizations who are stuck in building the software altogether, who are stuck in managing this project on a way this project should evolve. And looking to the current economical situation, where that's not anymore where we just give money and we are not counting them. The current state of the market doesn't allow that even to the big enterprises. They started to count every penny, which means that they started to be particular about the project management and how the money is spent, which means that they count money where the project is being developed. And combining development with other legal entities, they started to divide the money and they started to divide the power. And all of this needs to be managed. And a majority of the traditional project management, even the most efficient and the most well-known now is Agile. And normally, this all, when we are in a public space, when we're developing with the community, we are trying to implement that somehow. And the open source development is a good example of this. While we're doing that in enterprise stack, we have the more managed Agile approach, where we have teams and a set of managers on top of that, making the delivery predictable. In both cases, the desire is to make it predictable and to lower the cost. In both cases, the model of the open source software development looks attractive. But when we look to the reality, I do not see because of the light of many people, and my idea was please raise a hand, those who participated in an open source software development. For the majority of the cases, that's complex and annoying because you need to agree with other people who are doing something, and it's very, very difficult to coordinate. Where you develop the same way in enterprise environment, that's even more annoying because you have a set of managers, and those are your managers, not your managers, and they all trying to coordinate all of this. In both cases, that's happening kind of mess. And that's why we started to think about the new algorithms of how to manage the software delivery, which will efficiently satisfy the need of the enterprise software development and public software development, where we end up with the good quality of the product, and we know which money, how much money we spend on that, and we know by what time it's being delivered. And looking back to the traditional open source models, we started to think what is important? First of all, the team. And the most important, who creates the code? Code is being created by developers. If, according to Agile Manifesto, we have experienced developers, they normally are able to manage themselves. if they're able to manage themselves and if they have the media to talk to each other, do we really need the set of the managers on top of them? And how much these managers can add to that? And again, we all know that the blockchain solutions are meant to automate the managerial decisions. So we are coming to the most logical thing ever is why not to apply the algorithms of the traditional to blockchain to the management? Why cannot we try to automate the managerial decisions during the project management? And here we are not we are not inventing something totally new. You all know, like I guess I'm talking to the professionals, you all know the abbreviation of DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organizations. And those bring us one of the implementations. There are many, but that brings us one of the implementations of the decentralized governance model. And here, basically, we're speaking of various ways. And there are various mechanisms which lays in a DAO implementations. And you know that basically there is a managerial approach of the decentralized governance, which normally based on the communications of gathering the signals and making the decision based on the signals with the either majority, either authorized majority. Here, like again, there are many algorithms how we make a decision. The important thing is that those decisions are made on a consistent way, and the signals and the decisions are recorded on a best like in mutual ledger, and that's the algorithm of decision making is predictable. Yes, that's the smart contracts we're saying. That's the smart contracts which are laying in a DAO model. And several models leads us to the theory it can be done well. Then we are looking to the practice, and I will give the examples in a minute. Like basically, we are looking to the examples of how it's happening. And again, majority of the audience now looking to the open source projects you participated with and saying like, okay, that's never was very successful. Because in the majority, you are stuck in a slow decision making. Because, well, normally you have to get the signals, you have to analyze the signals, and you have to somehow facilitate the decision making, which is normally like voting of the participants and all those discussions being not put in a computer, being not put in a smart contract. They takes time. They consume time and slow down the project. And also, the documentation of those decisions and a history of decision making normally is not kept well intact. And all of that causes the compliance, and it causes to like basically the mess for the people who are participating. And we're ending up with the professionals being theoretically able to deliver the good code, but not being able to work efficiently together. And here again, we see the clear motivation to put that in a computer. Because we don't need to be stuck of running among people and saying, come on, you still didn't give your vote, or come on, we are waiting for you, or are you sure, or what did we decide 2 months ago? And this all leads to the try to implement the contracts around this. And we do see several models already being implemented. We have the simple model, token weighted voting. That's what ENS DAO used to manage their decisions. And they were quite successful there. Quadratic voting, much more complex. I wouldn't recommend this algorithm for those who are just starting with the model, but this all, you're choosing the DAO governance basically tied to the size of your DAO, to the experience of your DAO, to the diversity, and how they are familiar with all the crypto mechanisms of, because you're not necessarily speaking for the people who are native to crypto. The same mechanisms are applicable for the project management in projects which are industry applicable, where crypto is not a core of their solution, where they're using blockchain technology, for example, to do the traceability of something. So quadratic voting, much more complex, but used by CityDAO and used quite efficiently there. And reputation-based voting, those you all know, MakerDAO uses that for many years already, right? And multi-signature governance, another way which is very suitable for not that experienced in crypto people, and also helps to distribute the decision-making, where, again, remember the enterprise case, where you have teams owned by the various companies who are sometimes competitors, and still need to develop the same set of the software altogether, or even to coordinate the development of the competing pieces of the software, but on a coordinated way because they underlie on the same level 1 network. And for them, the multi-signature governance can simplify significantly, can be used. And that's, I think it's used in the SafeDAO, yes. And there are also, like, the good thing here is a smart contract. So basically how your DAO is being managed and what are the rules you can program and you can define and you can tailor that for the particular need, as I already said, depend on your DAO size, speed of the evolution, which is impossible, communications which are existing, inclusivity, because and the desired level of the decentralization, because that's also, you manage that. And the hybrid versions, for example, in the Decentraland DAO, they use the hybrid level of governance. And what I'm saying is the current market, it really asks for those ways, for those possibilities to manage our projects cheaper. And our projects require, in many cases, decentralized governance. And the decentralized governance is the best way implemented on chain. It gives us more control, more flexibility, more transparency. And we already have this. But governance model and the DAO model, it's just a start. While we are doing the project management, we need other things to be implemented. And here we're speaking about the defect and change management. All the delivery projects, they have bugs, they have changes, and normally the endless поток of the changes which needs to be managed. And here, probably for you, that's native. You know about improvement proposals concept, and you know about bounty concepts. 2 weeks ago, I was presenting the same pitch for the much more enterprise Agile and Scale conference. And for people, it was not that native, all those approaches, but they resolve the need of the decentralized defect management, where we can vote for the severity and the priority of the defect resolution, or where we can vote with the money for the certain changes being implemented, which brings actually very native and market native mechanism for your solution to evolve, because the solution started to add the functionality, not the one which is desired by someone who has his personal vision, but by the community decision, where in many cases the users of the solution vote with the real money for what needs to be implemented, which ties your solution much more to the reality than where the individual business is doing so. And last but not least, while we are doing decentralized development with the distributed and decentralized governance, there are always the questions of access and code ownership. And for those, there are models of the open source of the hybrid model and the closed source. You can decide as a team or as a community which part of your code is public or is applicable for the changes. You can still keep the core of your solution, if that's the business decision, closed, and still allow the further community to have the outskirts of your functionality, outskirts of your API or something to evolve, being community-led. That's the another degree of flexibility you can apply here. And there are already the mechanisms, and like I'm here a little bit of discussing the future. There are mechanisms of the code tokenization. And the next example is, well, I will probably move to this slide, because that gives you the real mechanism. I don't know how many people here heard about the CryptoPond. If not, I'm really advising you to go there and check, because that's the mechanism to get on-chain data for large language models. That's the mechanism where we can use on-chain data for our LLM analysis and for the building models, which helps and gives you boost for your DAO and LLM being combined, but also gives you the boost to analyze the involvement of the code. Because when I'm here in a more public, less enterprise atmosphere, so you guys are mostly thinking about how ecosystem invests in the various projects. Here, if you will go to the CryptoPond, you can see that there are different models there. And one of the recent competitions, which is still ongoing and which is initiated by Vitalik Buterin, is about analyzing GitHub sources in terms of the involvement or in terms of the implications on the Ethereum ecosystem. Basically, now the teams are competing, and we, as a company, also creating our models, because it gives you instrument of how to analyze the participating projects in ecosystem in terms of the fair reward. In terms, it tells you educated, it motivates the educated decisions based on the previous history and the potential where to invest. And that's why I started to speak about the code ownership and monetization of your development involvement. This is a way how we can resolve that signal-based, information-based, where we can make grounded decisions. Those who ever participated on application for Ethereum grants know how messy and unclear the system is. And that's the way out of this. And that's the way which you can use on your projects within your ecosystem, and which enterprises can use in terms of analysis of who participated the most for the solution, even when the ecosystem grows enormously big. So please don't forget about this. And another part, I almost covered management, decision-making, managerial decisions, code ownership, defect management, change management, almost everything we need for the distributed, centralized project management. The last one is the community management. The last one, not least one, are the people. Because we need to keep our community engaged. And again, all the mechanisms I've been speaking about, they help you to tie the decision-making, distribution of the power, and incentivation, monetization, to the actual participation. In enterprise cases, we are speaking about the corporate participation. In the public cases, we are speaking about the individual participation. And here, besides the fact, all the communications, all the community, all the social stuff needs to be taken care of properly. Because when we're speaking about the decentralized project management, we might for many people who are less public and more enterprises, they think, okay, I'm putting everything in the code and I'm done. Sorry, it's not, because you still have to take care of your people. You still have to take care about the information flows in between people, because that's appeared to be the key if we are gathering signals. And again, the loyalty of the people, their motivation, that's not always, and we hear that from many HRs, it's not always lays in a monetization space. Not at all. And we know all of this because of, like, we are here on the Ethereum Community Conference. And you know that we have DEF CON almost every year, because we need to keep the level of knowledge. We need to keep the level of the engagement. We need to hear more from a community. And that's truth for any size of the communities. So by, like, I spent quite some time explaining you how to put everything in a computer. But here I'm devoting time to say, yes, you put the governance in a computer and in a contract in a DAO mechanism. But relationships in between people needs to be taken care of. And that means that probably instead of the project manager who is making the decisions individually, we will shift this power to the DAO mechanisms. But we will need a community manager who takes care about the well-being of the people and being well-informed on a project. And I already spoke about how to get the analytics. And initially, when I was speaking on this slide, and I was more speaking about the analysis of the source code and who does what and how much is the involvement to tie that to the monetization. But at the same time, we are using the same mechanism for do the project analytics. Because if we have the governance on chain, we get the information on chain, and by the way, CryptoPoint gives it to you for free. Which means that you have implement the feedback analysis mechanisms using on-chain data, on-chain governance data, if you put it there, and then have the, the feedback loop on your management. And I'm at the end of my presentation. And what I tried to tell to you is that it's exactly the time when we can think about the future project management being done by machine. We must not forget about the real souls of the real people participating, but the pure management tasks can be done on a distributed basis and can be done fairly. Questions? Guys, that's not only future, that's also reality. I gave you the examples. There are also tools like Gnosis, like Augur, which set up you, like which helps you to set up that and to implement that. So don't think that it's like in 10 years. It's now, and you can try that already now. Thanks.